Welcome back to the broadcast, and we're joined again by the fantastic anchor of the CBS 11 News team, Doug Dunbar. We're talking about his upcoming Return to D-Day special, which airs on CBS 11 this Saturday. You do not want to miss it. It's filled with nostalgia, courage, and here's what I want to say. They didn't whine and complain.
They did not.
They just took what came and soldiered up and did it.
You know what, and I don't think they knew any better back then. You know, there wasn't this luxury of, you know, there had been big battles prior to World War II, obviously, in Northern Africa, and we can go deeper into history, but you know, we were at a time and a place where technology wasn't what it is today. There were no drones flying overhead. We didn't have that much advanced information. And back then it was guns and fists and tanks and just the basic armament and the basic weaponry and strategy and tactics and the love of your brother in the field. And that's what it boiled down to. And the sense of duty.
Yeah. And the sense that this is the right thing to do.
Correct.
And the country all joined in, and you know, which was an amazing time. Just an amazing time. I want to ask you something, because we talked about this morning. This is kind of off the track, but you love vets and you do so much for them. Or did
I just think their stories deserve to be told.
They do, and they deserve to be cared for.
Yeah.
And did you read about Bob McDonald, the former CEO of Procter & Gamble, that's been nominated to head up the new VA?
I didn't read a full story. I saw the headline.
Do you like that idea? I think it's a great idea. He's run a corporation.
Yeah, well, it remains to be seen. The bottom line is the system needs to be fixed. There's no question about that. And no matter who you put in there, I think you're going to have people who say, great idea, and there'll be a faction of people who say, I'm not so sure about that. The bottom line is change has to come.
Have you heard many of your friends, the veterans and everything, talk about the VA at all?
Oh,
were
absolutely.
they pleased?
No. Well, as far as the selection, I've not talked to anybody about that.
No, but I mean their treatment.
Overall, in recent history, I've got friends who are everywhere from D-Day veterans to guys who've most recently fought and been severely injured and wounded warriors out of Afghanistan and Iraq. And all of them have the same story. Mostly the time, the delay is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. The system is completely broken.
I didn't mean to deviate, but I was interested in your take on it because you have such wonderful relationships with them.
Well,
and hearing from somebody like you know, I think lends a lot of credibility.
Yeah, I mean, I don't bring anything new to the table because I think we all know the system is broke. And invariably, all of us know someone who has served or is serving right now. And I think those stories all filter down into our own kitchens and our own living rooms, and you hear it firsthand.
What's the biggest takeaway you've gotten from these vets?
The biggest takeaway for me, I think, is they feel appreciated. They truly do. When we, you know, and let me say this, because this is a whole nother discussion, and we can do another day on this, but it's not like the guys who came home from Vietnam.
From Vietnam?
No, completely different. But World War II, especially in the late stages now, with these guys dying at a rate of, you know, the estimates are anywhere from 500 to 1,500 a day. They're leaving us so quickly because of age. But when you think about it, took until 2005 for the memorial in Washington, D.C. to be built.
I know,
for
amazing.
World War II.
That's just
is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So I think finally in these last 10 years or so, 9 years since the memorial was built, there's been a significant push where even the guys who have not been back to Normandy, even the guys who have not walked those same beaches and fields like they did 70 years ago, I think there is a welcome sense of appreciation. Now, and this guy you're looking at here, Orman Knowles, he has such a great story that you're going to see on Saturday, because Orman, that table right there is where the Germans surrendered.
Really?
In 1945. And what's interesting, Orman at the time, as a black American, was in a segregated United States Army.
Yes.
Segregated. He was not basically invited to go to the front lines and fight for his country. He served in a supporting role. He guarded prisoners. And interestingly enough for him, as a guard of German prisoners in one prison camp, in the mess hall, the German prisoners were allowed to go into the mess hall, the United States military mess hall, eat their food, drink wine, sit down, and enjoy a meal. Orman Knowles, as an American soldier who was African American, had to go in, get his food, and had to leave the tent.
That's just
had to leave. But that table, what's significant about that story that I want you to see on Saturday is Orman was just outside of the building in Reims, France, where Eisenhower's headquarters was at the time. And what happened was, middle of the night, he is on duty at a train station, guarding supplies at this train station, literally 150 yards from the building. What happened was the lights went on in the building late at night. That doesn't happen in a war, especially at the commander's headquarters, because that's an invitation to be bombed by the Germans. So the guys knew something's going, why are the lights on? So they all began walking over toward the building, and within about 10 minutes, a guy comes out of the building, a U.S. military member, runs over to Ormond and his guys and says, hey, listen, I can't tell you this, but I'm going to tell you and you can't say anything. The war is over. They had just signed the surrender document inside, and Ormond Knowles and the guys he was with were the first in the world to know, and the world didn't know until the next day, about 12 to 15 hours later. What an epic moment in his life. What an epic moment,
and it is an epic moment too for us to say goodbye to you today, but to encourage you on Saturday to watch more of this special with Doug Dunbar on CBS. What time does it air?
5 p.m. Saturday.
5 p.m. Don't miss it. And look, you've got a recorder. If you've got someplace to go, record it. And watch it when it's just you and somebody that really cares about the dignity and humanity of man and all the things they've done. We'll be back.
Thanks, Susan.